three different types of services to the user. In that first one, barrier service, teleservice and supplementary service. The barrier channel is a channel that carries main data. The basic rate interface consists of 264 kilobits per second. The X.25 is a standard for packet switching networks. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session. I'm Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, MYSURU. We are on the second session of Integrated Service Digital Network. Moving further, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with ISDN. In that, I'm going to discuss D channel and B channel. So before going to start my discussion, I just want to recall the things what I discussed in my last session. In my last session, I discussed what is ISDN and the features of ISDN and the different types of channels comes under ISDN. At the same time, I discussed the advantages and disadvantages of ISDN. So in my today's session, I'm going to discuss only the two channels called D channel and B channel. Moving further, ISDN, it is also called Integrated Service Digital Network, and it provides barrier service teleservices. That means the ISDN is mainly used to provide B channel service. So B is nothing but barrier service teleservice, and it also supports supplementary service. That means here the ISDN provides three types of services. In that first one, it is barrier service, then it's going to provide teleservices, and it's going to provide supplementary services. So in order to provide these functions, the ISDN connection relies on two types of channels. So here the ISDN is mainly going to provide three different types of services to the user. In that first one, barrier service, teleservice and supplementary service. Suppose if the ISDN want to provide these three services to the user, then it is going to use two type of connections. That is, the ISDN connection relies on two type of channels to perform its two basic functions. So here the ISDN is mainly going to use D channel as well as B channel to provide the services and to provide or perform the basic functions. So here the ISDN connection aim to provide user with end-to-end data transmission and the signal capability to establish and conduct a data transfer or call. So here the ISDN is mainly designed to provide end-to-end data transmission and the signaling capability of the user. So here we are going to use two different channels of ISDN. In that first one, it is B channel and the another channel is D channel. So here the B channel means barrier channel, whereas D channel means delta or data channel. So moving further, we are going to have B channel, that is barrier channel. So in ISDN, the barrier channel is a channel that carries main data. That means whenever the user want to send the data, then they can able to use ISDN's barrier channel. So the main responsibility of the B channel is to carry the data, that is carry main data. So here the barrier channel is also defined as B channel, and the data transfer rate here is 64 kilobits per second. I repeat, the B channel data transfer rate is 64 kilobits per second, and the basic user channel and carry any type of digital information. So here the B channel is the basic channel, and it is mainly used to carry the user information or user data in the form of digital signals. So here it supports digital transmission of data, and it is in the form of full duplex. So what is full duplex? That means the sender and receiver can capable to transmit simultaneously. So that transmission mode itself called full duplex mode. And the data, whatever the data you're going to transmit, that cannot exceed the capacity 64 kilobits per second. So here the barrier channel or basic user channel supports the data rate 64 kilobits per second. Suppose if the user want to send more than that, it's not possible to send. So whatever the data you're going to transfer, that must be between 64 kilobits per second. So it is mainly used to carry digital data, digital voice, and any other low data rate information. So here the B channel is mainly used to carry the digital information. So the digital information may be a digital data, or it may be a digital voice, or any other data that contains very low data rate information. So here the ISDN, there are two levels of service. That means the ISDN supports two different levels of service, that is basic rate interface, that is mainly intended for home. That I repeat, the ISDN supports two type of services. In that first one, BRI, that is nothing but basic rate interface, and it is mainly used for home. The another service here is primary rate interface, and it is used by the larger user. So here the basic rate interface is mainly designed for home and small enterprise, and the primary rate interface is mainly designed for larger user. So the B channel carries data, voice, and other service. That means the B channel is mainly used to carry the data, voice, and other services. At the same time, it is mainly used to carry the digital data or digital voice or digital other service. So here the B channel is mainly designed for digital data transmission. So the D channel carries control signal information. So dear student, just remember the difference here. The B channel is mainly used to carry digital data or digital voice or any other services which is in the form of digital. So whereas the D channel, it is mainly used to carry control and signaling information. That means the D channel is mainly designed to carry the control information as well as signaling information. So here the BRI, that is basic rate interface, includes 264 kilobits per second B channel, whereas one 16 kilobits per second D channel. I repeat here, BRI uses 264 kilobits per second B channel and 116 kilobits per second D channel. The BRI user can have up to 128 kilobits per second service. So here the BRI uses 264 kilobits per second. So by using these 264 bits per second service, the user can have up to 128 kilobits per second service. That is 64 plus 64. We are going to have 128 kilobits per second. And the primary rate interface consists of 23 B channel and 164 kilobits per second for D channel. I repeat, here the primary rate interface consists of 23 B channels and 164 kilobits D channel. I repeat, the basic rate interface consists of 264 kilobits per second B channel and 116 kilobits per second D channel, whereas PRI consists of 23 B channel and 164 kilobits per second D channel. So moving further, let's see how the connections are established in B channel. So here the connection setup is, here we are going to get 4 different kinds of connection setup for B channel. So in that first one, circuit switched. I repeat, the first connection setup for B channel is circuit switched. Here the user is going to place a call. In circuit switching, what the user will do? The user is going to place a call and the current switched connection is established with the another network user. So in circuit switched network, the user is going to place a call and the current switched connection is going to establish with the user which is present in another network. The next type of connection setup is packet switched. So in the packet switched, the user is connected to a packet switching mode. I repeat, in the packet switched connection setup, the user is going to establish a packet switched mode and the data are exchanged with the other user via the X.25. So here the X.25 is a standard for packet switching network. So in packet switched, we are going to use packet switching network and it is mainly used to exchange the data between the user by using the standard called X.25. The another type of setup here is frame mode. So here the users are connected to a frame relay. I repeat, so here the users are connected to the frame relay mode and the data is exchanged with the other user. I repeat, in frame mode, the users are connected to the frame relay mode, mainly used to exchange the data between the user. So here the last connection setup is semi-permanent. So in this connection to the other user set up by prior management. That means in semi-permanent, the connection is established prior to the management and not requiring a call establishment protocol. That means, so in the semi-permanent, the connections are established to the user with respect to the prior arrangement and do not require a call establishment protocol, and it is mainly relies on released line. Moving further, we are going to have D channel. So it is also called data channel and it carries control signals. I repeat, it is mainly used to carry control signal for barrier channels. So this channel does not carry data. I repeat, the D channel does not carry any data and it is mainly used to carry the signals, and the capacity for carrying the signal here is 16 to 64 kilobits per second, and it depends on the user needs. So the minimum capacity here is 16 kilobits per second, whereas the maximum capacity here is 64 kilobits per second. And if we are using in band, I repeat, in D channel, suppose if we are using in band, then the same cable carries data as well as control signal. Suppose if we are using in band in D channel, the single cable is used to carry data as well as control signals. Whereas suppose if we are using outband signal, I repeat, suppose if we are using outband signal, then we are going to have two cables, one for data and one for control signals. So I repeat here, in band signaling, we are going to have only one cable, and the one cable is responsible for carrying data as well as signals. But in out of band signaling, we are going to have two cables, and one for data and one for signaling. So in ISDN network, the D channel that carries control and signaling information. That means in ISDN, we are going to have D channel, and the D channel is responsible for carrying controls as well as signals. Moving further, the D channel is the signaling and control channel. That means the D channel is responsible for carrying only the signals as well as the control channels for ISDN. So here a D channel is the signaling and control channel on an integrated service digital network, and that uses PRI. That is, in that we are going to use T1 phone service. So to carry the signals and controls, we are going to want T, that is terminal 1 phone service of primary rate interface. And the typical ISDN PRI configuration, there are 23 B channels and 1 RID channel. That means in ISDN PRI channel configuration includes 23 B channel for voice and only 1 PRI D channel. So the D channel for signaling and control and call data. So in B channel, we are going to carry data and information. So the data or voice data. Whereas in D channel, it is responsible for carrying, signaling, control as well as call data. So this is known as 23B plus D. That means it's going to use 23 B channel plus 1 D channel. So here the ISDN PRI service is used by the business to provide local and long distance voice service. That means in ISDN, the PRI service is used by the business to provide local and long distance voice services as well as other applications including voice conference or fax and dial-up. So here the PRI D channel is also known as delta channel or data channel or signaling channel or control channel, because the D channel is responsible for carrying signals as well as controls. Moving further, let's see what is basic rate interface. So here the basic rate interface is a type that uses single twisted pair for signal transmission. That means in BRI, we are going to use single, that means one twisted pair cable for signal transmission. So the BRI interface uses time multiplexing. I repeat, the working procedure of BRI, it is mainly based on the time multiplexing and it uses two barrier channels. That means it is going to use two B channels for voice and one channel for data. So that is control D. I repeat, the BRI interface includes two B channel and one D channel, and it is mainly based on the time multiplexing. So here the channel capacity, that means the B channel capacity is 64 kilobits per second, whereas the D channel capacity is 16 kilobits per second, where the B channel carries all type of data. Then it is also responsible for carrying voice data, whereas the D channel is responsible for carrying signals as well as control functions. Here the control functions may be busy signal or dial tone, etc. So here in BRI, we are going to use single twisted pair cable for signal transmission. So here the ISDN BRI make use of one B channel and it is normally used as transmission line. So in B channel, one channel is normally used as transmission line and other B channel is used as receiving signal. So in B channel, it is going to use two B channel. That means in BRI, we are going to have two B channel. In that, one channel is used to send the data and another channel is used to receive the data. So here the B channel is mainly used to provide single connection to home premise. So here the basic rate interface specifies a digital pipe consisting of two B channels and the capacity here is 64 kilobits per second and one D channel, and the D channel capacity here is 16 kilobits per second. So here the speed is 144 kilobits per second. That means it is equal to 144 kilobits per second. That is 64 plus 64, we are going to have 128. Then I am going to add 16 here. So it is 441. So the equal speed here is 144 kilobits per second. And here the BRI service itself require an operating overhead of 48 kilobits per second. That means in the 144 kilobits per second, the BRI service is going to make use of 48 kilobits per second. Therefore, the digital pipe of 192 kilobits per second is required. So actually we are going to have 144 kilobits per second. In that, BRI service is going to use 48 kilobits per second service, whereas overall service is required by this BRI pipe is, that is 192 kilobits per second. Moving further, we are going to have primary rate interface. So here the PRI consists of D channel and 23 or 30 B channel. So here PRI consists of 23 to 30 B channel and 1 D channel. So here the PRI does not support iServices, where a digital pipe with 23 B channel and 164 kilobits per second D channel is represent in the PRI. That means the PRI includes 23 B channel and 1 D channel. But whereas in 23 B channel, the service capacity is 64 kilobits per second. So the 23 B channel of 64 kilobits per second each and 1 D channel of 64 kilobits per second equal to 1.536 Mbps, that is megabits per second. That means here we are going to add 24 B channel, and what is the capacity of each B channel? Here it is 64 kilobytes, whereas in D channel the capacity is 64 kilobits. So after adding these two, we are going to have 1.536 megabits per second. So here the PRI service uses 8 kilobits per second for overhead. So we require the total PRI service capacity is 1.544 Mbps. Moving further, let's see the summary of ISDN. So here ISDN stands for Integrated Service Digital Network, where it is a communication technology and it is a set of communication standard or protocol. It uses traditional copper telephone network for communication. So here ISDN is mainly based on circuit switching, but it also allows the user to access packet switch. It requires expensive hardware and maintenance cost, and it is limited to 30 channel per line. So here it allows geographically dependent numbers and it provides limited features, and it does not provide flexibility in usability point of view. So these are the some of the summary about ISDN. Moving further, let's see the summary of B channel. So here B channel is also called barrier channel. It carries data, whether voice or internet data. So here the B channel is mainly designed to carry the data and voice, whereas it's also referred as payload. So whatever the data it's going to carry, that is referred as payload. And the channel is called barrier channel because The barrier is the information that should be carried within the line. So here it is called barrier channel because whatever the data we are going to transfer, that must be within the line. So here the B channel are clustered together to form the two main type of ISDN lines, and each B channel in the line cable of providing 64 kilobits per second bandwidth. That means in B channel the data transfer rate is 64 kilobits per second. Moving further, we are going to have the summary of data channel. So here the data channel is mainly used to carry the signals and controls. So it is also called delta channel or D channel. So here an ISDN line usually carries multiple B channels, and single D channel is responsible for carrying the signal for different B channel. That means in ISDN line, usually we are going to have multiple B channels and we are going to have only one D channel, and the D channel is responsible for carrying the signals and control signals to the B channel. So this is all about D channel. In my next session, I'm going to deal with international standards. In that, I'm going to discuss NT1, NT2, TA and TE devices. Dear student, in my today's session, I discussed what is B channel and what is D channel, and at the same time, I discussed the interface like BRI and PRI. From the examination point of view, this is very important topic. Dear students, thank you for watching my session. Let's meet in the next session. Until then, take care. Thank you.